Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys at Magic. This is Hunter, David, Steven, and Shane. Say what up, boys.
What's going on, everybody?
Hey guys.
What up, nerds?
Got a full barn tonight, all four of us. That's right. Another day of Modern Horizons 3 spoilers. We got some over the weekend. Today being Memorial Day, so happy Memorial Day to everybody here in the States. Before we get started, I just want to remind everybody we're only talking about the rares and mythics that are brand new to the set. We're not talking about any reprints, and we're not talking about commons or uncommons. If you guys wanted to see all of those, check the link in the description for our Instagram. That's at Guys at Magic. We post every single spoiler as the spoiler season continues. So let's go ahead and get started with this first one. It is Aether Revolt. That's right. They're saying the name of a set and a card. It's 2 and 2 red for an enchantment. It's got Revolt. It says as long as a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn, if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 2 instead. It also says whenever you get one or more energy counter, Aether Revolt deals that much damage to any target. Good or bad, Dave?
So, okay, we just got the secret layer with Norn the Wary getting a reprint, and I thought, man, that was a really fun deck. It's a deck that I used to play in Commander, which I always used to tell my opponents, like, the card does nothing because it just, like, bounces in and out. And I see cards like this, and I'm just like, man, this with that deck where you have, like, Impact Tremors and Perforos is just like, oh, it's a beautiful thing because Norn just, like, triggers Revolt constantly. So I'm a pretty big fan of this card. I know that's incredibly niche, but like this is super cool. And Revolt is surprisingly easy to turn on.
Does that mean you're just running a bunch of spells that deal non-combat damage, though?
I mean, that's generally what I was doing with the deck, or with that deck specifically. Like Nor the Where was like a lot of like pingers or a lot of like enter the battlefield abusers. And I mean, it was pretty fun. So this card would slot into it.
Okay. I think it's pretty interesting, including the added text on the bottom there just for energy support as well. So, I mean, it kind of helps the energy text deal damage too. And if a permanent left, this card deals plus 2 damage on top of the energy you're making because of that. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, with the energy support coming from this set, I'm excited for this, and I've always wanted to build a Norn deck, and this is kind of like making me want to do it a little bit more. So
2 Norn players. I think it's good. Do you see it seeing play in actual Modern? We are in Modern Horizons. Yeah.
No, I
No?
don't know. So like here is the thing is that I know that a lot of people have been calling this set like Commander Horizons and have been giving it a very hard time. The same thing was said about the first two Modern Horizons though, and those did have pretty significant shakeups in the format. Now, I don't think every card is going to be modern playable, but even if there's just like 5 or so cards that come out of the set that have the potential to shake things up, I don't know. Well, we'll see. I don't think that this card is doing anything though. There's not an energy deck, and I don't think there's really anything.
I don't know. I think energy might be a thing, Dave. Who knows? There's a lot of energy cards in the main set, not just the precon. So, and Aether Revolt. That too. Let's move on to the next card. It's Invert Polarity. It's 2 blue and a red for an instant. It says choose target spell, then flip a coin. If you win the flip, gain control of that spell, and you may choose new targets for it. If you lose the flip, counter that spell. So essentially, heads I win, tails you lose.
I see
like this
2
card.
wins here.
Yeah, it's exactly what I said. This card is really cool because it says target spell. So it's not saying non-creature. So you can technically take control of someone's creature, and that's yours now.
I mean, worst case scenario, you counter their thing. Best case scenario, you just stole it. So I like this a lot. And as Hunter alluded to, yeah, well, no, this isn't. See, here's the thing: is it is it's controlled chaos. It's like either way, regardless of what outcome, I'm getting something out of this. Like you're not progressing your game state.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, I haven't touched the heads I win, tails you lose coin flip deck that I bought, but this is gonna go into it. This card is, I mean, to be honest with you, I might throw this into every deck that I have that's red and blue.
Yeah, it's just a fun card. I like the card design when there's no downside. Like whenever they flip a coin, there's always some downside, and there isn't here. So count me in.
There's plenty of 3-mana counter spells.
That don't see play.
I mean, in lower pods, like lower power level pods, yes, they see tons of play. I mean, you see some 6-mana counter spells sometimes. I mean, I think I'm just saying, but I mean, I'm just trying to be fair to all the players that play, whether it's low power or high power. I mean, I think that this would slot into a lot of great decks. I think the best thing about it, to be honest with you, is the flavor text at the bottom. It's hysterical.
Krieg, I thought I told you to stop messing with. Oh, that worked. Good job, Skreek. That was Eric.
So good, dude.
Let's move on to the next one. We got the white land from this cycle. It's a Monumental Stonerow. It's a land that enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a plains. You can tap it to add a white, or you can pay 2 and 2 white, tap it. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a historic card from among them and put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Probably the weakest of the cycle we've seen so far, I would say.
I mean, absolutely.
Is it a bad card though? I mean, white typically in EDH does struggle with card draw, and like this is card draw. Chances are you're probably going to hit something off of this.
Yeah, I mean you're essentially taking 5 mana sources for this card to do that thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I do agree with you. I think that this is not a great card, but
I mean, anytime we talk about whiff potential, David, you're always on the train saying I don't like it. So
I don't like it.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because like artifacts and legendaries are something that you can head off this. I'm not really going to count sagas just because like I don't play enough sagas where I feel like I would reliably hit off this. But like in a typical game of EDH, you're probably rocking a sufficient number of artifacts, and you have other legendary creatures in your deck to help support.
Yeah,
it is
I get
definitely
that.
going to hurt though. Like if you whiff,
I'm just it's cool, and you would run it in a deck that runs heavier artifacts, I'd say. But me personally, I don't like it. And
no, I'm not a fan.
I'm the white player. Yeah.
I mean, essentially, like, I mean, I don't ever see a world where I'm using this unless it's super late game. I don't think I'm ever going to use this during my turn. I think this is something where you're holding up 5 mana and trying to do this at somebody's end step, and I don't ever want to do that. So
yeah. Well, let's move on to this next one. It's called Ripples of Undeath. It's 1 and a black for an enchantment that says at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, mill 3 cards. Then you may pay 1 and 3 life. If you do, put a card from among those cards into your hand. This seems like a David card to me.
Probably not actually.
No.
It is kind of hefty. Yeah, like I don't know. This card is neat. It's card advantage, but like it's not reanimating things. It's not cheating stuff. I guess it feeds your graveyard another way, so that's kind of cool. But like paying 1 is a tax that I don't really want to pay, but paying 3 life, like that's gonna start to hurt really quickly to do this reliably. Like there are much better ways to just like be able to reanimate, and there are much better card draw engines. I think the advantage that this one has is just like it's a 2-drop, so it comes down relatively quickly.
Why do we think they did it at the beginning of main phase? Do you think they tinkered with upkeep and thought it was too powerful?
I mean, it could also be another, like, it could also actually be the other way around. Is like, this is going after your draw. I don't know. I don't know.
I guess it's less reliable to manipulate, but then again, you just do it on the trigger of this, so I don't know. I think it's good though, because you don't need to pay it until you need it. Like if you just keep pitching things in your graveyard, that's cool. Don't need those. That's cool. Don't need those. And then finally something, it's like, okay, pay 1, put that in my hand. 3 life. If we're talking about it from an EDH standpoint, that's nothing. Moving on, we've got Amphibian Downpour. It's 2 and a blue for an enchantment aura. It's got flash and it has storm. It says enchant creature. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a blue frog creature with base power and toughness 1/1. And that artwork is terrifying.
I see
I-
this getting played in CEDH.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, Storm Off, like it's got flash too, so you cast it after someone else's spell. That storms. You could essentially hit 2 things.
3 mana is
1/1 frogs.
3 mana is a lot of mana for this.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
No.
I don't know. On top of that too, it's also an enchantment, so like you can interact with this to be able to just get your creature back. I don't think this card is playable. I'm actually going to go to that far of an extent. I don't think this card is good.
I think this card's good removal. I like it. Pseudo removal. It's like a Kenrith's transformation type.
I think
Except
this card's fantastic. I prefer this over Counter Transformation.
Kenrith's
Yeah.
transformation is cheaper and draws you a card.
yeah, but this also has flash and it can storm.
That's really cool that it has storm. How often do you think you're reliably like hitting a decent amount on the storm count though?
Depends on how many threats there are. Like if you're running this in a certain deck, like not only can you cast this in response because it has flash, but cast it in circumstances that has the most value.
I understand that, but it's like I look at this like this is removal and it's cool, but it's not permanent removal and it's removal that actually has like a hidden tax with it because you're wanting to be able to maximize that storm count. So it's like how many spells do you need to like what does your storm count need to be in order for this card to be good?
Yeah, I mean, you could just be storm with 2. Just get rid of the 2 biggest things.
I still don't see it.
I don't know, man. There's a reason Canada's transformation is played. It's not only just a draw card.
I mean, that's the comparison we're making here, but I think that Kenrith's transformation is a much better card. It's also I don't know. It's a much better card.
I mean, I honestly, I can't disagree more. I'm like on the complete opposite spectrum. I feel like from David. David says this card's unplayable. I think this card's can see so much play in CEDH. It's not even funny.
Yeah, but even like that though, I mean, like cards like Dress Down occasionally see play, and this like it's kind of doing the thing with the losing all abilities, but like I don't know. I just think that 3 mana is a significant amount to hold up, and especially where you're wanting to capitalize on Storm for this.
This can also be like a game finisher. If you've got trample or something like that, or if they were flying and they just tapped all their mana down, you cast this for however many spells they just cast. You just boop, 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 bunch of 1/1s now.
I mean, I feel like I understand your point that 3 mana is a lot, but I mean, and you don't want to hold it up. But if you're playing blue, I mean, most of the time sometimes you pass go. I mean, there's tons of decks that you just don't really want to use your mana on your turn, and you want to kind of wait to see what your opponents are doing. And I think is 3 mana for a pseudo removal spell good? Not to a certain extent, but something with flash and storm, I can't agree with you that it's as bad as you're saying.
Shane, what do you think?
I think it's a blue card. It's got flash. It'll see play. No,
Love
honestly,
it.
I don't think it's as bad. Honestly, I think it'll be okay. Maybe not CEDH,
move
but
on.
we'll play with it.
Let's move on to a new Eldrazi. This is Eldrazi Linebreaker. It's 1 colorless, and 1 red for a 3/3 creature Eldrazi. It's got Devoid, it's got Trample, and it says at the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gains haste and gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the number of Eldrazi you control. The Eldrazi. Specifically with red.
I mean, I like it.
Seems like it would go into the new Eldrazi deck. I'm just saying.
I feel like
I
that's
mean-
why this card was printed. It's the like, hey, don't forget to also go buy packs of the set too.
Mm.
I mean, anything that says my Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, has haste is going to be a good card.
That does seem pretty good. Target creature you control gains haste. Pretty solid.
Or even with the new Defiler. God, can you imagine just that coming down, exiling half, and then giving your Defiler haste with Annihilator 5th? Like, dude, oh.
Yeah, it's big. Big smash Eldrazi. This is terrifying though. Why does it look like that?
Should
I'm
have been
after
called
you, dude.
Eldrazi Linebacker, dude. Just smashing into people.
See, that's my complaint is that like I had to read this card like 7 times before I like read its name correctly. Because
That's
I
your
keep reading
complaint.
linebacker.
That's my complaint.
My complaint is that I keep calling it linebacker.
I just can't read.
Let's move on to another card. It's Party Thrasher. 1 and a red for a 1/4 creature lizard wizard. It says non-creature spells you cast from exile have Convoke. It also says at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may discard a card. If you do, exile the top 2 cards of your library, then choose one of them. You may play that card this turn. I like this card, but I also don't like this card. And the reason that I don't like this card is because you have to cast those cards this turn. I like the cards that say until your next turn.
I do too.
But then again, those spells have Convoke, which means you can tap down your creatures to cast them. So the whole idea of why I don't like those type of abilities on the same turn is sometimes you run into a card that you really want to cast, but you don't have the mana for it. So that kind of fixes that.
This is really interesting. So this provides you with card advantage with a very weird stat line. 2 mana
Mhm.
for a 1/4? That just seems so odd. Like this card is like it's going to drop early, it's going to be defensive for you. This survives a lightning bolt, which I think may give this like some legs.
It has 2 legs already.
You know what I mean. But just like I don't know, this is interesting.
And also, apparently, Viashino is being errata to lizards, so that's why this looks like a Viashino, but it's not. It's a lizard wizard.
Yeah,
Which,
lizard
to be honest
wizard.
with you, is a way better name.
Lizard wizard. Yeah. It's fun to say.
I'm gonna cast my lizard wizard.
I like this card. I think it sees play in Modern, Dave, just because of the card advantage there. I don't know.
I'm not sold, but I do think the card has some potential.
It's got a leg.
Got a
2.
leg. 2 of them. Finally, let's move on to the final card, which I think might be everybody's favorite. It's called Springheart Nantuko. It's 1 and a green for a 1/1 enchantment creature insect monk. It has a bestow cost of 1 and a green. It says enchanted creature is +1/+1. Also has landfall, which says whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 and a green if Springheart Nantuko is attached to a creature you control. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature. If you didn't create a token this way, you just make a 1/1 insect.
Wow.
Seems good.
Seems a really good way to start making some crazy copies of creatures.
Uh-huh. Yeah, just bestow this onto a creature like I don't know, something huge. Get a copy of it. Just pay 2 to make a copy of it every time a land enters. Yeah. That's a good rate.
I'd say so.
No, thank you.
Why, Dave?
What?
I don't like bestow as a mechanic. I felt like it was really clunky back in Theros. I don't know. It's a cute theory, but like whenever the equipped or not equipped, but whenever the enchanted creature dies, like this is gonna go away too. I don't know. It's an additional tax of 4, so you got to bestow this for 2, and then hopefully you can pay the extra 2. I'm assuming you're gonna like already have this up and then just drop another land after that. But this does give your opponent the opportunity to just kill your original thing, and you've just 2 for 1 to yourself.
And you
I don't
invested
know.
6 mana.
I thought when
Well-
it dies, it becomes the creature.
No, bestow doesn't work that way.
The bestow, for those that don't know, it says if you cast this card for its bestow cost, it's an aura spell with enchant creature. It becomes a creature again if it's not attached.
Told you.
Huh. All right. Well, I'm remembering bestow incorrectly then. Either way, I still wasn't a big fan of bestow back in Theros. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna let my bias come back around. I don't know, what was that, like 10 years ago?
I think this is going to go in my Landfall Matters deck. This is too good to not have. Let's get copies of everything.
Dude, it's like a scoot swarm on a stick.
Attached to Scoot Swarm.
But you have to pay
Dude,
for this one.
that's true.
I mean, you
You
also
could.
don't have to pay the 2. If you don't, you just get an insect.
True.
And that's a chump blocker in my book.
Yeah, so once this becomes not attached to something, then you're just making 1/1s. That is going to do it. Those are all the rares and mythics from this set that were brand new. Obviously, we didn't talk about some of the reprints like Savine's Reclamation, a 20-cent rare that's coming to this set, which is unfortunate. But yeah, comment down below. What was your guys' favorite from this set? We'll go through ours. We will start with Steven. Steven, what was your favorite card that we talked about today?
Invert Polarity.
Good one. It was a good one. Dave, do you have a favorite?
Let's go with Party Thrasher.
Party Thrasher. All right.
Yeah,
Jane?
I'm gonna have to say Invert Polarity as well.
I'm going to go with the last one we talked about, Springheart Nantuko. I like that card a lot. But yeah, hit that like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay up to date with everything else that we got going on. Don't want to miss this. Spoiler season still chugging along. Check the description. Once again, we want to remind you, we have all of the spoilers, not just the ones we talk about here, on our Instagram, at Guys That Magic. Also down there, you'll find the other social media accounts. That's TikTok and Twitter, at Guys That Magic on those as well. Follow on those. On the screen right now, those are all of our Patreon subscribers. Thank you guys so much for your added support. It means the world to us. If you guys wanted to see what they're seeing, which is not here on YouTube, check the description for our Patreon link and consider subscribing. And until the next video, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.